I have another piece of beautiful black walnut, and it's not very big. It's about 9 by 9 and it's about 4 inches thick. I've cut the corners off. I want this to be fairly simple because I have mentioned that I'm needing to get my shoulder looked at, and I have an appointment with a specialist coming up, and by the time you see this I've probably already seen him. I have a feeling I know what he's going to tell me I have, and it's called old age-itis. That's a good possibility for me for sure. So I'm going to get this mounted up. I've got a hole for a worm screw, but I want to show you something else. Hang on real quick. Look at this. Viewer and friend John sent me a apron. It says the Papa 1947 Woodworking, Garden Home, Oregon. And these shirts that I wear, they collect shavings. He thought this would be kind of fun to have this. So we're going to try that out today. Let's get that chunk of wood mounted and start turning. Okay, I have it on the chuck. Got the tailstock up against it for support. So I've been asked here a couple times, well, why do you cut downhill sometimes and uphill? Well, if you want to preserve a bark on a natural edge, you don't want to cut and rip it off. You want to cut down across it. When I get down far enough, then I come over here. It's much easier to cut with the grain where you're slicing down through it. If you're going this way, you're trying to go under the grain and it doesn't finish as nice, it doesn't cut as nice. I also like to start over here and not on the outside when I have a square on here. If you had a round blank, you wouldn't need to do that. So I'm going to grab my face shield. We're going to start turning on this, and we're just going to concentrate on cuts in direction for this turning because it's a pretty basic shape. Doing about 600 RPM. I'm going to grab my face shield and put it on my head. We just about have it round. Got a little more bark on that side. I just moved the camera, and I also just moved the tool rest to get it about in the same line as I want to cut this. That just makes it easier to get the shape you want and have good support on the tool. Now I've got 800 RPM. I don't know if I said, but that's the 5/8 bowl gouge, and I just sharpened it. So you can see that gives you a nice clean cut. I'll just show you a little bit here as I clean that up to show you if you go this way, it's not going to be as smooth. So you can see it lifted the grain. It didn't tear it here. It lifted it because we're driving in to those fibers of that piece of wood. Sometimes you have to do that though, depending on the shape, and especially if you're trying to make a live edge bowl. But you don't have to go the full distance. Yeah, that looks horrible now, and it was just really nice. But that's okay because I still needed to clean this up. So maybe I'll, well, I'm looking at this. This is nowhere close to being flat. So a lot of that's going to all disappear just because of that. Wow, I didn't notice that. That's, yeah, we're good. I'm going to flatten this out and we'll decide whether we want a tenon or a recess. Okay, I just about got all the bark gone. I noticed that the camera might have slipped a little bit when I was over here, but I think you could see that edge developing and the bark going away. And sorry about that, but when I looked in the camera it didn't look right. So let's go ahead and put a tenon on here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and finish this little tenon area. I'll square the tenon up, which is very important to have a nice square tenon, nice and flat where the jaws fit against it. I've had this diamond point tool for over 50 years. It's getting pretty short. I think I need to find another one. It works fine, but it's barely reaches the grinder now. The little table on the grinder is wider than what this is. Okay, I think that's probably going to do it. Let's see if we can sand this a little bit and we'll get it flipped around. So I'm ready to sand it. I'll start with 80 grit, but I was just kind of looking at the nice little colors I have in here. I really like this, and this has got a lot of chatoyance right there. Yeah, I'm glad it went through that sapwood. Still have the contrast with quite a bit of interest. So I'm going to start with 80 grit, lay the running inverse, and probably around close to 400 is usually good. About 380. And we'll start the noise. Show you a little bit of this sanding. When you come back, I'll have it flipped around. I just checked to see if the dust collector was working. It was, but not very well. I discovered that I had knocked a hose off another machine while I was moving a few things around. It's all working good now. So I did sand it to 80 and I flipped it around. I decided that I would cut the inside, then sand it all up to 400. But I've noticed that there was a little sliver of grain I couldn't see from the other side that had pulled out. So I need to turn this area away. And if you're not left-handed, I think it's a good idea to learn how to turn both ways, because I don't want to come downhill on that. So it's about the same. It's something you need to get used to. Yes, we got it. It looks really nice now. So the whole thing of it is, when you're turning even right-handed, if you're a right-hander, you're not steering or anything with this hand. You're just holding it on the tool rest. You want to put that handle up against your hip. That's what does the turning. That's what pushes the tool through the work. Works the same way this way. It's not any harder. This is just holding it in place. You're steering with your hip and your legs are moving you forward. Okay, I'm going to sand this up again, and then we'll start cutting the inside. At least sand that up, back up to the 80 grit stage. So we'll just use the tailstock support for a little while. It's going to get in the way real quick. About 750 RPM. When you're starting to get your walls made, you go down a little ways, keep this bulk in here, and just keep stepping down. I will want to take a little more off of that, but get rid of this section first. Maybe we can use the 5/8 for that. So that angle can kind of fool you. I'm going to see what wall we have here, which is around a 1/2 inch. And I don't want that much. And I see I still have the remnants of the pith up here. I'll probably want to get rid of that. Let's go ahead and make this cut, because that's going to come off anyways, just in case it decides to skate across there. It worked all right. That's around 3/8, maybe a little bit less. I might just go with that. We need to clean this up first, so we do a little shear scraping, try to get that little pith area out. And we got it. There's kind of remnants of it right here, which looks pretty cool, but it's not a crack or anything, so I'm going to leave it. Okay, let's keep going down. I change back and forth between the 5/8 and the 1/2 inch as I work my way down. The 1/2 inch works really good up against the side walls. Okay, let's see what we have here on that bottom. 3/8 of an inch. You know what? That's good enough. Plenty good enough. I just need to clean that little center out and get that knocked down. We can do some of it with the gouge. Otherwise, probably a negative rake scraper. Lower that a little bit. that feels pretty flat. We're going to bring this into the action here. Usually makes easy work of getting rid of that little nub. Yeah, that feels like it'll sand out just fine. I'm going to go ahead and sand the inside. We'll do that in forward at around 400 RPM, starting with 80 grit. I have it all sanded up now, and while I was turning, I was thinking of using shellac on this. But the more I saw the contrast show up in these different areas, especially with things like this going on, I want to keep that as prominent as I can. What I found is the water-based sanding sealer and polycrylic really does a good job. So does clear lacquer sprayed on, but I just got through doing a finish with the polycrylic, and then I buffed it out with Acks abrasive paste, and the finish was totally amazing. I'm going to try it again on this piece because I really like how that looked. Pretty simple. I think you've probably seen this before, but I just wipe it on, and yes, it does look darker when it hits those areas, but as it dries it will change. So I've kind of explained it before, but I wipe this on fairly heavy on the first coat. But each and every coat after that, I will make sure I get it wiped down, and I'll keep going like this until I have no streaks. And at that point, I stop, I let it dry, and put another one on, another one if it needs it. So that is exactly how I put it on. Put the polycrylic on exactly the same. Now look at this. This is really going to be nice there. All of a sudden it comes around and it gets really dark. Okay, I'll get all this finished up, get the polycrylic on it, and I'll be back and we'll have a good look at this. Here it is. It is all done. And I didn't show the removal of that tenon because I'm kind of up against the wall on getting this posted, and editing can take quite a bit of time, so I've left that out. But I usually show it, and I definitely will on the next one that has a tenon. But I think it turned out really nice for a simple little bowl. Let's get some really dark heartwood, and the sapwood is even very interesting with lighter shades of the heartwood in here. I really like this here. Doesn't this kind of look like a face there? Maybe somebody's got a mask on, or I don't know. It almost looks like some little evil villain in here. Maybe not. Like that bottom too on the inside. So it finished about 7 inches in diameter, 3.5 inches tall, and the walls are in the range of 1/4 3/8, with the bottom being now about 1/4 inch. I used a couple coats of Minwax water-based sanding sealer, and I think I used 3 coats of the Minwax Polycrylic. And to get this shine, I use the Acks abrasive paste and the polish. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I did need to do a simple one. And as far as next week goes, I'm kind of limited on time to be able to get something out. And I'm not sure what's going to happen next week. But I think I can do something really simple. And that's what I'll try to do, because I only have a couple days that I know I can work on something. So next week will probably be real simple, but so is this. And I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like the video, do me a favor. Click that like button and feel free to leave a comment. Both of those things will really help my channel grow. I do lots of different types of turnings, and you never know what might be next. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And a special thanks to all my current subscribers. You really mean a lot to me. So, till the next time, see you later.